Hello guys, my name is Ishan Manchanda. I'm a marketing consultant and a mentor at Udacity. I welcome you all to yet another lecture in my video series Quarantine and Upskill, where the objective is to help you all upskill in your career so that you can grow in your career, you can succeed and build a strong, solid career in this ever-changing environment. Yesterday, we took up a video where we talked about data collection. We talked about the importance of data and how we can collect and what kind of data points should we collect with context to sales, HR, and operations. That's what we discussed. But definitely, if you are in a different field, you can understand and replicate it to your own work profile. So today, moving on, as I had mentioned yesterday, also we have a three-step process, which is a repetitive process. The first is to collect data. Second is to represent data, which is what we're going to be learning today. So, in order to represent data, there are certain few things which you already know of. I'm very sure that we can use in Excel to help us represent data better. So I'm going to take an example today to help you understand functions like VLOOKUP, pivot table, and graphs and with an example so that you can also grasp the thought process behind it. See, creating a pivot table or creating or using the feature of VLOOKUP is not a big task. I'm not really going to be explaining a lot about VLOOKUP or pivot table or what is it. I'm very sure you are capable enough to go to YouTube or read a blog article about it, find the steps there. I'm pretty sure you are smart enough to do that, or you already know about these things. What I am trying to deliver in this video is the thought process that goes behind representing data. What basically should you do in order to represent data, which can eventually help you identify gaps and have and help you solve the problems in hand and help you grow. So let me take you straight away to the Excel file where an example is waiting. I've created a small database, obviously, for simplicity of understanding. And this is a database. We're considering the example of sales person here. Now, yesterday we had discussed a template where there were many attributes. I've cut down on on the attributes that we had discussed yesterday, and just the basic data points are mentioned here. So you have the first name, last name, the email ID, obviously, and the phone number, the basic information, the acquisition channel, which we also had yesterday when we saw the template. Then we have added a date of acquisition, a date of call, and then we also have a lead status after the call. So what is the lead status? So this lead status obviously is going to depend on the values of all the attributes that we had discussed yesterday. So I'm skipping on that. I'm just for the sake of understanding and the ways of representing data is why we are here in this video today. So we're going to be focusing on that and the thought process, of course. So this is the basic data that we have. We have the acquisition channel, different acquisition channel. The date is there. The date of the call is there, and based on that, we've divided our leads into whether they're interested, partially interested, or not interested. Let's say this is, as we had discussed, this is a consulting company, or you can imagine any service-based company, any consulting company for the sake of this example, and you can put in actually any service-based company here and any service-based example in this example that I'm taking, and you'll be able to understand it and you'll be able to replicate the entire thought process. So I've converted into I've called the leads either they are interested, partially interested, or not interested. One more thing again, I'm repeating, keep the format of your values same. So if it's interested, partially interested, not interested, and the not interested has a space between not and interested, the I is small or I is capital, that has to be taken in mind. So if you see here, this is a mistake that I've done. This is the only interested which has a small I. So this will not work in case of a large database. Right now I just have 10 entries, so I was able to identify it without any problem. So let's dive into the main concept. So first, we also have another sheet. For example, obviously, when you are in sales, you have a marketing team which is also sending, let's say, emails to all your leads that you're calling. So let's say the first step is you get a lead, you call them up, and then an email is sent. So we have another sheet where the data about the email sent to all these people are there. So this can be, you can inquire, talk to your marketing team regarding this and get this data from them, fetched from them, maybe into your own Excel sheet, a local sheet where you can perform all these actions. So now we have email sent, email opened, brochure which has been sent in that whether it's been downloaded or not, and then there's a date of email. Now this is a 10 this is a small database, I am understand, but just imagine if this is 50,000 1 lakh entries, then it's going to be very complicated and very difficult to understand by just seeing at it. So what we do is, obviously what we want is, for whatever the entries are here, we want to match these and we want to get this data in this sheet, right? So I want this in my sheet. So obviously this is this email data I want it transferred, matched with the lead name or the email ID. So what we can do is we use VLOOKUP when we want to fetch values based on a certain reference data point. We want to fetch we want to fetch an associated value with that reference point into one Excel into one cell. Then we use VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP in this case, you'll understand it more if you don't know about VLOOKUP. When I take the examples, what I want to do is I just simply want email sent, date of email, email opened, these values fetched from the other sheet which has email ka data based on with reference to the email ID. Why the email ID? Because obviously you should always match your values with a unique identifier. So email IDs are unique with for each individual, or maybe a phone number. Never go for first name last name, which can be same for two people, right? So how do we put an email a VLOOKUP? So I want email sent. Let's start with that. So I put equal to VLOOKUP. Now the first you choose the value with which you want to match. Okay, so this I want to match it with my with the email ID, right? So I select that comma. Then the next attribute is the entire array of values from which you want to choose the your value that we're looking at. So that is from here to here, right? So I want to, and we all, or you should always remember, we look up only the right part matters. You cannot choose values from the left. If the reference values is email ID, this column, then anything on the right of this column can only be selected or fetched. On the left will not, it will not be possible. Okay, so you need to make sure that the first column of the array that you're choosing is actually on the leftmost side, the first column being the column from which you are matching the values. Okay, so this is done. Then you put comma, so you select everything. Okay, now this, since email ID is the first column, this is the 1 2 3, so then you mention the value actually which you want to fetch. So we want to fetch the value yes or no from email sent, so that is the value we want to fetch. So we need to enter in this third parameter, we enter the column number of this of the column that we want to fetch the value from. So this, if email ID is the first one, then this goes second, this is third, so I mentioned 3. And then you either put 1 or 0. So if we are doing exact match, we want to match exactly the value of Gmail ID, then that's the reason we are going with 0. So if you want to do exact match, you do 0 and you press enter, so you get yes. So if you see Virat Kohli right here, so we can search for Virat right here, this is Virat Kohli, email sent is yes, right? And when you want to just copy this formula to the rest of the cells in this column, you just double click on the this small dot part that you see on the right bottom of the cell. You double click and you get this. Similarly, you can do it for the date of email as well. So we look up again on the basis of email ID, comma, the array that we need to select is again from this till the end. Then the next is date of email, which is this one. So this goes second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So this is the sixth column. Considering the email ID is the first column, then this becomes the sixth column. And again, comma 0, because exact match is there. We get the date of the email as well. And again, if I just double click on that, that formula is copied for other cells as well. So same, you can do it for email opened or all as well. I'll do it very quickly, right? So we've got the values fetched from the email Wali sheet, which is simple, VLOOKUP can be used. Now, considering this is just a database of 10 people, it does not look very complicated. It looks like a waste of an effort using VLOOKUP. We could have just done it manually, but that's not the point. The whole point is that we need certain such data. And now you need to understand why I used email. For a salesperson, it is very important to also understand what is the entire buying cycle. How is the customer's journey going to be? A customer comes onto your website, fills up a lead form, you get the lead, you call him up, then an email is sent, or maybe a WhatsApp message is sent, or maybe you are asked to call again after 2 days. Whatever the process is, if you're in HR, you are asked to send out, you get leads from the HR consulting companies. You get, when you get the leads, you make the calls, you talk to them, you take the initial information about the candidate. If you think they what whichever candidate is fit for the next rounds, You send out email with an assignment, then you check whosoever has done an assignment. You also see that whosoever has downloaded the assignment, you also have to send him the reminders, because it is very necessary for you in HR, as an HR professional, to keep engaging with your candidates, because you cannot lose an important talent. You cannot lose a good future employee for your company. So you need to make sure that you are talking. So this entire cycle needs to be in your mind, and on those basis you need to start fetching different data points, which might not be directly available to you, which might be available on with your marketing team maybe, or with some other teams, maybe your vendors as an HR professional, your vendors being your consulting HR consulting companies. So you can fetch this data. You can use what we have seen right now. We can use VLOOKUP. Now let's move on. Let's see what else can be done. So continuing with the same example, I hope the HR people, operations people, they are able to replicate the entire process. I'm trying to give examples for HR also, for operations also. You can imagine with a stock inventory or whatever work you're doing, you can just imagine in terms of the attributes, the data points that are there, and what you can fetch, what other data points can you fetch from other stakeholders that are related or associated with you in your work process. Okay, and again, very importantly, just try to understand your customer's journey and all the stakeholders involved in that entire journey. Now let's move on. Let's see what else can be done. So I have also added another column which says next follow-up date. So what I want to do is basically I want to see whosoever downloads the brochure, I want to call that person within 24 hours of this email that has been sent, because when the email has been sent or when the brochure has been downloaded, let's consider the date of email is basically is the same date as if someone has downloaded the brochure. The date of email is same as the date of downloading the brochure. Let's consider it at this time. You can have a separate column with date of brochure download as well, which can be fetched from the marketing team from the email sheet, right? So let's consider this. So what I want is I want to call whosoever downloads the brochure. I want to call him in the next 24 hours. So now my next follow-up date should automatically showcase that. So what I can do is I can use an if function, right? There are so many functions available with Excel. Obviously I'm not going to show you each and every function or each and every feature that is available with Excel. The whole thought or the objective behind this entire activity is that Excel is very important, and you need to keep brushing up your Excel skills. And a lot can be done with just the data and just with the normal features and functions that Excel has to provide. So I'm using the if condition. So if I'm saying the brochure download value is yes, which is P6. So if it is equal to yes, so if you see the formula, if P6, which is this, is yes, then add 1 with the date of email, which is we considering as the date of brochure download. So within 24 hours, I have to call as a sales person, I have to call my lead who has shown a lot of interest, because he has not just opened the email but also downloaded the brochure, and I can simply drag it. So these are the 4 5 people for whom my date has been decided. These are the people I want to call, and these are the dates that are there. So this keeps automatically filling up. Now you can also imagine what would happen. So for example, this here the brochure email has not been opened or brochure has not been downloaded. So the email marketing or the marketing team, what they will do, they will resend the email, change the subject line, change the body. So that is the reason this formula will work for you, because if when the sheet is updated in maybe let's say 2 3 days later, the brochure the email is sent again, and then the brochure is downloaded by the lead, this will be updated and showcased on your sheet, and you will have an next follow up date accordingly. So this is a normal if condition can actually save so much of your life. And when you have 50,000 1 lakh leads in the growing month on month, such small things can actually add so much value to your overall efficiency and productivity of your work. Now let's move on. Let's see what else we can do. Let's just explore one more thing, which is the pivot table. Now, pivot table is also, as you might already know, is a way of representing your data. It makes it look so much more sensible, and gives you so much insights also. So, for example, let's select this entire thing. So I've selected this. So let me go to insert pivot table. Okay. Now, what I can do is these are the columns, right? So I'll say I want to see how many of my interested, not interested, or partially interested people actually opened the email, and how many of them downloaded the brochure. So let's say email opened goes into value. So lead status after call goes into the row. So this is interested, not interested, partially interested, count of email open and count of brochure download. So when your data is big enough, you'll see this value being much more. You can understand how many people who you thought were interested, because this lead status was defined by you. So you can just match it whether what your perception was after the first call with the lead, whether it is matched up with the actions he's taking, let's say on the email. So if he's opened the email, he is definitely partially interested, at least interested. He's very highly interested if he's also downloaded the brochure. That's what we assume when on the basis of actions that people take on email. So now if you can match it with what you thought and what actually is being showcased based on the actions, if those match, then you can actually judge whether you're thinking the right way, you're analyzing and judging the leads the right way or not. So this is also one more thing that you can do, and pivot tables can make your life very easy. How big, however big the data could be, you can just club it into such formats, and this can help you generate a lot of data points, a lot of insights, which can help you identify gaps. For example, now from here I can for example, I see that okay, all the interested people, four opened and four downloaded the brochure. Those who were not interested or partially interested, obviously the number of people who opened and downloaded the brochure were less. So obviously this data act as it is does not make really any sense, because it's a hypothetical dummy data, but this could make sense, right? And that's what I'm trying to say here. It's not about choosing the data point. It's about trying to continuously choosing different data points, trying to find a relation between them, keep on experimenting, keep on testing with different data points. Only then is will the probability, the normal concept of probability, if you do more, the chances of you hitting the center dart, the dart in the center increases. So you need to make sure one more thing, that is that you keep on experimenting and you keep on testing with different data points. You keep on understanding the entire process, the entire journey of your customer. Break out the data points, which is data collection. Take the data points and then try and represent it in the form of pivot tables, or use certain functions and formulas to automate your entire process, the mini process that you've created. Or else you can also use the graphs. You can also use graphs, which is very simple. You can you obviously you guys understand how we can create graphs. So any two data points, you can create a graph. The graph will give you a very better, a very a good picture of what the actual situation is, because when you have 50,000 or 1 lakh entries in your database, your human eye and your human brain cannot just judge it on just by seeing the each and every data entry, and it won't be even possible to see each and every data entry. That's the reason graphs will also come into play, and it will be very handy for you if you can use graphs as well. So the two major learnings about this video is, one, brush up your Excel skills. We look up, pivot table, the functions, numerical functions, statistical functions. All these things about Excel are very important. Be it any career, be it any domain you are in, Excel is very, very important. And secondly, never fear to experiment. Keep experimenting, experiment and test with logic. That's very important. So you need to first understand the entire journey of your customer, how your business works, how the other teams work, how all the stakeholders, how they think, what they perceive, define them. And on that basis, figure out what important data points are accessible to you, what you can get, and then try and think what two data points or three data points could have in relation with each other. When you can think of it, then you can execute it on Excel. You can find out the reality when you see the data in front of you. So this is it for this video. I hope you've learned something new. I was able to give you a sense of direction and how you can move ahead with what you currently do in your career, and how these things, these small things, small habits that you can make and you can do every day, can actually help you grow in your career very, very quickly. So thank you so much. Subscribe if you're not subscribed to my channel, and keep sharing the video. Thank you.